for logging in early. We see so far we have 110 persons who have logged in. I'm seeing all the good mornings from all over the Caribbean. And we just want to just thank you so much for registering and for logging in to be with us in this virtual learning space. I am Dr. Loy Parks, and I am the Leadership Development and Institutional Strengthening Specialist with the Caribbean Center for Development Administration, popularly known as CARICAD. So, we just want to thank all of you for coming. There's so many of you who are regulars to our programs, regulars to our webinars. So the ground rules for our webinars are not new to you. But some of you, we always have somebody who is logging in for the, to our webinars for the very first time. So we want to just share what are the ground rules and, how can we make this the best possible virtual learning experience. I'm seeing all those good mornings from Barry. It's just because Mike is facilitating that Barry login, and Deidre, people from CARICOM, the Secretary for CARICOM Commission, but I'm not troubling them. They are our esteemed alumni. Welcome to you guys. And I see Donovan Dixon, Natoya Gilbert. Yes, just recently concluded our course in Introduction to Leadership, and Simra from BVI. Simra, I remember Simra, you did what? Leading Change in January. Look here, if you have never done any of our leadership programs, you have got to get on. You are missing out, let me tell you. But to ensure that we have a really good virtual learning experience today, it is best that you close all the other software applications on your device, except for WebEx. You don't want to be distracted. The webinar goes for call it an hour and a half, and we want you to have the best possible undistracted learning experience. It's always better to mute your phone. If you can't mute your phone, at least to turn the ringer down. Remind your colleagues, it's part of your learning and development. So for the next hour or so, you're not available to try and ensure that you have, the internet keeps up, the bandwidth keeps up as strong as possible. It's always better to plug in your internet cable if you have that available. Now, for a webinar, you may not necessarily be, a lot of us may not be talking, but if you want to actually talk as a part of your engagement in the process, and there will be space for that, then we invite you to plug in your headset and your microphone if you have a good working one. And I see Donovan saying that the leadership course is awesome. Yes, it is. So you can't afford to miss out. And at the end, we will share with you our next opportunities for getting involved in our leadership development programming. So, for those who are not accustomed, we just want to remind you about the feedback tools. We talk about learning to teach online. How do we engage people? And we're just starting with that process by teaching you how to engage in this virtual learning space. So, we invite you, if you have, particularly if you have logged in with a desktop or a laptop, you will notice to the right of your screen a list of names of all the participants, and below that you'll see a toolbar. So starting to the far left of that toolbar is the raise hand feature. So when that time comes and we're taking questions and comments, you click on that raised hand, and the facilitator will see your hand in the order that it is. You might not see it, but the facilitator does, and we will acknowledge you. And then to the right of the raise hand feature, you will have the green check mark, and to the right of the green check mark, the red X. So we use that if you want persons to respond, either yes or no to a question. So if today is the first time you have logged into a webinar with us, click on the green check mark. And if it's not your first time, click on the red X mark. So let me see who are the people who are first-timers and who are not. So actually, there are quite a few first-timers. Welcome, Vivian Harding, Tanya Wright, Susan Fleary, Stephanie, Somati, Shauna Lee, yes, Shabiki, quite a few names. Welcome, Renee Barb, Nicole Alfred, Nadine Davis, Mauricia Liverpool. I hope I'm pronouncing those names correctly. Marjorie Henry, Marcia Brathwaite. Yes, so quite a few persons. Lana Daw. Thank you so much. We're glad you're able to join us. And of course, many of you are persons who have, you regularly come to our webinars. I see Joan. Welcome, Joan. And quite a few others. Arvin and so on. Thank you all very much. The other feature, which I know most of you, yes, Audrey Gitton from, I think you were from cohort 3, welcome. My Vinci sister who has decided to adopt Jamaica as her home for now. Welcome, Audrey. And I think that quite a few of you already found the chat feature, but just in case you haven't, on the same side of your screen, if you're using a device, you will see the chat there. And you want to click on Send to all participants, type in your message, and then click Send so that we can all see your message. If you have questions, etc., comments. Alana, thank you so much. I see you are a first-timer. All right. So Vida says she's in hearing, and I suspect Vida audio might need to be connected. Let's see, that is so. So Raphael, if you just send a message to Vida to use the instructions in the chat to connect her audio. And there are many, many annotation tools that exist when you're working in this virtual learning space. For now, we're just going to point out the pointer tool. Now, if you're logging in on a mobile device, you are not likely to have that available to you. But if you're logged in on a desktop or a laptop, you should see a toolbar just above the slide. And starting at the far left, you'll see a right-facing arrow. If you click on that, your cursor becomes a right-facing arrow, which you can drag. You'll see my cursor, and you'll see my name on it, right? And I see Mark, quite a few people have found their pointer tools. And so I wanted to use a pointer tool and point on the country from which you're logging in from today. And if you can't use a pointer tool, feel free to just type it in the chat, right? I see a couple of people from TT. Hi, Malika, from Public Service Academy there in TT, yes. Nancy, hi, Nancy, from Suriname. Hi, Leona, from the Statistics Department in Bahamas. No, you have to forgive me, there are a lot of people, and, I remember their names and, their connections. So, lots of arrows on the board and lots of people typing in the chat. There's Stanley from St. Vincent, Latoya from Belize, Shermaine from Dominica, Karen with a C from Jamaica the first time, Princess from Jamaica Customs Agency there, Tanya from Barbados, Alana from Dominica, Keturah from Grenada, Camille also. Camille St. Louis is one of our alumni. Deirdre from Jamaica, Sharias, hope I'm pronouncing your name right, from SVG. So glad you could join us. We know these are trying times in St. Vincent, and we continue to, as CARICAD, to provide support. It may not be as visible, but we're working with policymakers and officials to see to it that you get through the recovery process. Lindy from Grenada, lots and lots of it. Gary from Guyana. Hi, Renee, another alumni from Jamaica. Shauna Key, also from Jamaica. Sandra, alumni, but joining us from the US, yes? So thank you all so very, very much. It's a real regional affair up here. So, here is what we want to find out from you. What are the burning questions that you have about teaching, learning online? Hi, Victoria from Jamaica. You know, there's a reason why I don't think that you're all idlers. No, you have some questions you want answered about learning, teaching, training online. So we are curious to hear those. Hello, Elsa from US. Glad to have you. John from St. Vincent too. Glad to have you. What burning questions do you have? And Stacy from CARICAD Secretariat, our partners, welcome. So Stacy has the first question. How to make it interesting and keep learners engaged? Yes, Stacy, and that is definitely one of the questions we are hoping to answer, to give you some tools in your toolkit to do that. Because let's face it, this is going to be the way forward. I think even post-COVID-19, virtual learning, virtual teaching is going to be here to stay. But how do we make it interesting and keep learners learning? Stacey, we hope to answer that question. Erica, no, that's a very good question. How to handle different learning types? That is an excellent question, Erica, because persons learn in different ways. So there have to be different kinds of tools that you use in the virtual learning space to engage learners. And so Mr. Michael, who I'll introduce to you later, Mike Watson, our facilitator, you remember that question later, how to handle different learning types. And Marsha is in training in the government of BVI, and she's wanting, again, also asking, how do you keep people engaged? Oh, yes. And it's a serious thing, you know, because let me tell you, I will confess, as much as I'm in this business, I can remember doing this particular virtual learning session. And let me tell you, I unmuted one of my participants, and all we heard was, I'm not doing my best snoring imitation, but suffice it to say, we were all greeted with a very loud snore. So clearly I was not doing a good job. So Sandra also wants to talk about how do you ensure participants are engaged. So that engagement question is coming up and coming up again. Renee, key points to recommend for keeping students engaged. How do you ensure participants are focused? So again, it's part of that engagement as well. The question. So Elaine is telling me, oh, there are several persons who are joining from the Ministry of Social Development. My tongue is twisting. Yes. So you have Elaine, Nora Lisa, Susan, Lindy. Welcome all. And welcome Mary, also another alumni, Mary Wilfred from St. Lucia. Yes. Miguel, also an alumni, have a very interesting and pertinent question about how do you convert previous face-to-face classes to make them effective online ones. Very, very good question. And so that is also one I am going to definitely be taking note of Miguel. And when we come to discussion time, we want to make sure that we have a, we come back to that. Yes. Let me see. Anira from Public Service Academy in Trinidad. How do you encourage participation? We don't make it seem like we are forcing them. Yes. So it's the same engagement question, but it's a somewhat different angle and a really good angle as well. And if I may just quickly say, I tell my participants that one of the things that you can expect is that you can be called on at any time. And you just say that upfront as an expectation. Real, dealing with Zoom fatigue. Oh yes, very important because we're talking about the training space, but let's face it, we're doing Zoom for all kinds of things. We're doing job interviews on Zoom. We are just all our work activities on Zoom, and it's not that easy to deal with, you know? So very good question. All right, well, we are at 9. How do you evaluate learning outcomes? That's another question. So I see lots of questions here. So lots of them are the same, but we are going to just kind of group them together. And we are going to actually now just get right into our presentation. Welcome again. We definitely know what our topic is. And just a little bit about CARICAD. This year we celebrate 41 years of existence. We are an institution under CARICOM, and our job is to support our member states in the area of public sector transformation and reform. And we do so guided by our Caribbean Public Service Charter conceptual framework. And so what you see there is a little bit about our charter. We call it our charter house, where we see transformation as being grounded and focused on citizens-oriented public service. That's the goal. And that house then has to have 6 pillars. Every house has to have pillars to keep it standing. And so the 6 pillars that guide our work is governance, standard, capacity, and clearly our webinar today is about capacity. How do we build capacity using the virtual learning space? It's also about having a modernized legal framework for public services, openness of government, and of course, accountability. If you want to learn more about our framework, both these slides and the documents are available at our website at caricad.net. And so now it is my delight to introduce to you my friend, our esteemed alumni from cohort 2, Mr. Michael Watson. We popularly call him Mike. And Mike is from Suriname. Mike wears a lot of hats and is somebody who is very accomplished in every way, not just as an online facilitator, but you know, he has a background in secondary and tertiary education. He has worked in the government of Suriname, worked for many, many years in the areas of education, public policy, curriculum development, and he was responsible for spearheading the establishment of the Suriname Anti-Doping Authority and the Regional Sports Academy. He is the founder of the Sports Institute, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right, Mike. It's either KEEM or KEEMI, which has a focus on martial arts, fitness, self-defense, swimming, education, etc. And so Mike is also one of our associate consultants, and he is going to just be sharing from us what he has learned, not only through the training that we have both, you know, all our associate consultants have done, but also what he has put into practice over time about learning to teach online. And so, without further ado, I am going to hand over to Mike.
Thank you so much, Loy.
Hi, Mike, and we are hearing you loud and clear. So you can do the uploading of your video now.
Good morning, all. Let me take this opportunity to upload my video, and I'll be with you in a few seconds. All right. You still hearing me, Lloyd?
Oh yes, we are hearing you. Are you uploading? Are you sharing the file?
Yes, I have some difficulties uploading it, but I tried to do it.
Check the ball. Check the ball. The ball is not on the.
I think I have the ball on the wrong Michael Watson.
Okay, all right. So, Raphael, if you would transfer the ball to the other one. So, and I'm so happy that persons have started, Mike, to answer your question. What does e-learning refer to? And so there are quite a few answers in the chat so far. So Simone says using the internet for learning. Alana says e-learning refers to learning online or electronic learning. Learning online. And Michelle says e-learning refers to learning training that takes place using ICT. So people said online learning. So Michael, has the ball been switched?
Yes, I'm there.
Okay,
I'm ready for you guys.
All righty. So lots of answers coming in the chat, Mike. So over to you.
Thank you so much, Loy. Welcome everyone to this session. I'm gonna take a look at some of the answers to. Let's see, refers to learning, exchanging knowledge, remote learning. I'm so happy with these answers. Let me tell you a quick story about how I get into this. I was asked in 2018, I was selected by CLP to become an associate facilitator. And they offered us, we were the four of us, they offered us two training programs in virtual training, facilitating, and designing. And we all said a massive yes. For me, it was yes, without knowing what would happen after. And I started to teach, to practice. And when the COVID-19 pandemic started last year, it was clear for me what I had to do. I had a lot of people that needed assistance in how to teach online, how to learn online. And that's where I started to train some people around me. And this is where I am now, sharing experience, sharing knowledge, and also learning from you guys that are present here in this webinar. So thank you so much for responding to the question in chat. I will take you through the agenda very quickly. The welcome and opening has already happened. Our next topic will be what is e-learning. You already shared with us what is e-learning, and those are all good statements. We're gonna check engagement and also how to create audience engagement. Facilitating, what do you do when you're facilitating? How do you keep your audience engaged? And also we're gonna have a quick look at designing a virtual training. How does it look like? And at the end of this day, we will give you the opportunity to have some questions. Now, what are we going to do today? What are our goals of today? Today, we want to share with you some of the tips how to effectively teach and engage your participants in a virtual program. And therefore, we would like to improve your knowledge and understanding about what is e-learning. We'll also distinguish the difference between engagement, interaction, and collaboration, and also the interlink between those, and also to experience and understand the use of the different tools that, in this case, WebEx provides you, but also the other platforms that you need or that you use to engage your audience. Now, what we see here, this picture, this slide illustrates two definitions. Both illustrate the learning that happens through multimedia, using digital tools, live, pre-recorded, or in a combination. So these two definitions, I picked them out because there is a slight difference between both of them, but both say the same thing about learning online. And I captured all of this in one picture. And there is where I'm going to need a volunteer to help me to explain this. Raise your hand if you want to try this one. Please raise your hand.
So remember, the raise hand feature is below the list of names, the toolbar, that's at the far left. Or you can just say in the chat, I volunteer.
Okay. So who is my volunteer? Who wants to try this one?
I think I see
Just,
a hand here. Stephanie Darrow.
Okay, Stephanie, we're listening to you.
Stephanie, can you unmute yourself? Your mute button is to the right of your name. So if you click on it, you'll unmute yourself. Or Mike, if you hold on to her name, Stephanie, you can unmute her. Oh, it's unmuted now. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Oh, she's unmuted. Okay, great.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Good
Stephanie.
morning.
Okay, so you hear me loud and clear, yes? Am I being heard?
Yes, we're hearing you.
So just repeat the instructions for her, Mike.
So, Stephanie, I would like you to explain this picture for us in, let's say, 30 seconds. What is it about e-learning? What is e-learning, and can you explain this picture for us?
Okay, basically from what I'm seeing here, that e-learning takes place, well, it says asynchronous and synchronous, meaning that it could take place, it takes place at the learner's own
Stephanie,
time.
I have a request. Can you put on your volume of your mic a little bit louder, or maybe you should go closer to your microphone?
Okay, you hearing me better now?
Yes, a little bit better. Okay. Can you repeat, please?
I was saying that basically, from what it's here, it's saying that, the learner learns at their own pace. And there are also times when the learning could be together with the other community of learners, and that learning at their own pace is where you have the modules being accessible online. So even after, say, for example, class could have been held, then an interaction happens there, in real time, that the modules will be there for the learners to actually access it later at their own time to understand. I also understand from your infographic here that we have a number of benefits from e-learning, to include the fact that it is cost effective, that you can meet a large number of people at one time, that you have more access to experts from all over the globe, and then you would meet other participants who would normally not be able to attend face-to-face sessions on a campus, for instance, for whatever restrictions they might have in your life at the time. Yes.
Wow, that is great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Also that we utilize different forms of learning, like videos, chat rooms, and other ways, the different ways of having persons learn. So it means that you're catering to different learning styles. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. I really love this explanation. I don't have to add anything to this. This is very clear. So thank you so much, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
Now, let's look at collaboration, or let's look at engagement. The biggest concern of every teacher or every trainer, facilitator, is how to keep your audience engaged throughout your whole virtual class, sometimes also face-to-face. Now, what is engagement, and what creates engagement? I need somebody to help me to explain that. Is there somebody who would love to explain what is engagement? Raise your hand or unmute yourself and jump in.
Well, I see Erica's hand is up.
Okay, Erica, go ahead.
I don't know if you might need to unmute her mic.
Let me see, Erica
P. Harris.
Let me see.
There, Erica.
Hi, good morning. Are you hearing me now?
Hearing you.
Yes.
Okay.
Hearing you.
My understanding of engagement is that it is any methodology that is used to increase participation. And I think I have to use interaction as well and collaboration. I think engagement encompasses interaction and collaboration.
That is so true. Thank you so much. That is so true. Interaction and collaboration are the keystones or the building stones of creating a good engagement in your class. So let's look at these two. Let's go first to interaction. What is interaction? Interaction means that you as a facilitator, you make sure that your learners are paying attention in class. And whether there are questions or clarifications, you make sure you provide them to the group. And you also make sure that they have constant feedback in your classroom. And you keep the program running. And especially in a virtual class, you have the chat function, you have the emoticons, you have the polls, you have the whiteboard, breakout rooms, applications, and so on. So you have a lot of possibilities to make sure that there is interaction between your students. I think there's somebody, we have some background noise. Maybe I can ask you to mute yourself. I don't know who it is.
All right, it's Nikita Henry.
Thank you so much. So that is interaction. And now we look at collaboration. Collaboration can happen in two ways. The first one is serial and the other one is concurrent. When we talk about serial, it means that participants, they take turns in an orderly way. And when we're talking about concurrent, that means that it's more like a brainstorming where everybody does the same activity at the same time. How important is collaboration? Why is collaboration so important to create engagement? Let's see if we can find at least 7 reasons why collaboration is important. So please put your thoughts in the chat for us, and then we'll cover them on this board. I repeat, 7 reasons why collaboration is so important.
Participation. And I see another person saying, you know, collaboration fosters new ideas.
That is so true. Great.
Sharing experiences.
Different views.
Different perspectives.
Yes. New opportunities.
I like that one. Promotes leadership.
Yep.
Fosters teamwork. Learn from each other. Very important in the adult learning space. Strengthens networking. Oh, yes. I mean, that's one of the things we're certainly big on here in CARICAD, that our programs, yes, you're learning what you're learning, but you're also fostering regional integration and networking. Build confidence in public speaking, yes. Mike, I think you get more than 7 reasons here, no?
Oh yes, I have a lot of reasons now. Thank you so much, people, for responding to this question. Let's take a look at let's now take a look at some of the reasons that you guys already captured, but we put them like 7 here in a row. Synergy and sharing is a very important one. Innovative ID team. That means a lot of innovative ideas pop up when you work together. And on the work floor, it brings engagement for employees. And somebody also explained about leadership. Now, top talent is one of the things that comes out, and that's also leadership. Flexibility, overcoming obstacles, and power up productivity. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing with us. There are some people that have their microphone on. Can you please mute yourself so we don't have that background noise?
So David, Tammy, David, you have your microphone open. So if you can mute yourself, David. Thanks.
Thank you so much, David. Okay, now I gotta put you guys at work again. Take a minute and think about 2 activities that can improve interaction in the virtual class. Share your answers in chat. And also be prepared to explain yourself. So take a minute.
Right, so Sean is the first out of the block, and Sean says breakout rooms. And Paul, Marsha says breakout rooms.
Okay.
Group assignments, Barry says, yes.
Yes.
So you can do group assignments in breakout rooms, sometimes offline, yes. Group case studies, polls, statements to discuss about, polls and quizzes, short quizzes, case studies, focus breakout rooms with focus questions, discussion exercises. Oh yes, online treasure hunt. Yes.
Okay. Great.
Okay, wallet.
What's groups? Okay, those are great ideas. So there's we always say when you're doing a webinar or what kind of program you're doing, there's a lot of knowledge on the other side. So the meaning of such a webinar or a training is to exchange knowledge. And I see that there's a lot of knowledge out there. So thank you guys for sharing your
I'm Rhea Chester.
Sorry, I'll pick it up.
So Mike.
Yes.
If you could mute Rhea Chester.
What is the name?
Noise.
Is it possible for Raphael maybe to help with muting people, or do I have?
Because you have the ball, Mike.
Okay. So he's muted already. I think he's already muted.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. Oh no. Okay. Wait. I have to go through the whole. I have to list. Okay. Thank you so much, people. It's very important that we mute ourselves, because then we can have a lot of background noise, and we cannot continue. Okay, so let's have a look now at creating audience engagement. You must have noticed that I'm not the only one doing the talking. I'm also engaging my producer, to assist me in doing this, this presentation. So we're going to look at collaborative synchronous activities. That is what we have been doing since we started engaging you. But we're also going to do something with a whiteboard. We are also using the chat, and we also go through web browsing activities, application sharing, and breakout room activities. Let's say up front that we will not go into the breakout rooms, but we're going to explain the way it works. So this is an exercise, a whiteboard exercise, where we're going to ask you to make connections. Please take your time, take a minute to listen. I will need 3 volunteers. I see, and I'm going to point out some of them. I see Nancy from Suriname. Nancy, I would love you to be one of our volunteers. And I think I have Deidre, Gus as well. And
I'll be number 3.
You will be number 3. Okay, that's great. So I have the 3 volunteers already. So what is it I expect from you to do? These are all words and figures that has to do with the work we do, with facilitation, with training, with teaching. Each one of you will get 15 seconds to use the 2-sided arrow to make connections between all the words, or between the words from your perspective, regardless of the column where the words are. When you're done, you will be asked to explain your work. Remember, there is no right or wrong answer. So we only need you to make connections. We're not going to tell you what connections you should make, because this is also a matter of creativity. After this exercise, I will explain a little bit more about it. So who are the people that will be very creative for me to draw the connection? Deidre, are you ready for this one?
Before we get to that, I'm just going to ask Julia, Terry Long, and Charmaine Ellis, if you could both mute your mics, please. So Juliet and Charmaine could mute yourselves. And for just to say where you find the 2-sided arrow. So above the slide, you will see a toolbar. And so you will see the point. Starting from the left, you see the right pointer tool. You see the T. Now to the right of the T, you will see that's where you'll find the 2-sided arrow. You just go to the drop-down bar, and you will see, one thing will come up. You'll see one with 2 things at the, a line, a diagonal line with 2 things at the end. That's a 2-sided arrow. So you click on that. Yes. And your cursor becomes that. And then you just drag it to see which 2 things you think 2 items are connected. Let me see.
Okay. So are you guys ready for this one? This will be fun.
There's a couple of things going on to time management and manage the process.
Okay. So let me tell you when to start. So clear your let me clear all the annotations. Okay. And now we can start like 1, 2, 3, go. 15 seconds. Okay. I'll see it's coming up.
Ooh, let me see.
Okay. Take your time. You have 10 seconds left. I give you 5 more seconds. That's becoming very interesting. Stop. Time is up. Whoa. Okay. So.
I see somebody's asking if this feature is available on the mobile phone. No. I normally encourage persons for online training. It is always better to log in using a laptop or a desktop. Because you tend to find with the mobile devices, there is a limitation on the access.
Time is up, guys. Time is up. I see some people are still making connections. Okay, let me ask the person with a green arrow. What are the connections that you made, and why have you made those connections? Please explain.
Hi, I'm Nancy. I pointed out the different facilitating skills that you can use during a presentation. For example, when you need to decide on a matter or when you need to vote. So that are the green arrows.
Can you name the connections that you made? You mentioned them.
Multi-voting, we have elimination, we have brain writing, consensus, around the world, and gallery work.
Okay.
Those are the various facilitating skills. And I was trying to connect collaboration, engagement, and interaction, but I was too late for that.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Nancy.
Yeah.
The person with the brown arrows, please explain.
I think that's me. I will confess I don't remember all the ones I made, but I will point out one, which is trainee holds the knowledge and androgyny. Androgyny. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes,
because
androgyny.
The science of adult learning, where we understand that adults, come to this training experience already with a lot of knowledge that you as a facilitator ought to build on. So they hold some knowledge that you build on and you draw on for the learning process.
Wow. Thank you so much, Loy. And who is the person with the purple arrow? I see someone with a purple arrow. I think we have more than 3 volunteers.
Yeah, man. I think many people volunteered.
Okay. who has the purple arrows? I'm curious. Who has the purple arrow?
If you could raise your hand, if you were the one who pointed the purple arrow.
Okay.
You can see a hand there. Omawale Edison, I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Omawale has her hand up.
Yes, okay. Please share with us. Please share.
Wait, I think you might need to unmute her.
Bishop. Is it, what is the name?
Omawale Ellison.
Omawale with a U or O?
OMO. That's how it starts. So OMO.
Yes, she's unmuted.
Okay. I'm actually he.
We're hearing you. Thank you.
I'm he, but that's okay. It's one of those names, male and female.
Okay.
Okay. I really didn't get the question. My hand was up previously.
Oh, so you want to put up your hand to say you weren't owning the purple arrow. Okay.
No, I didn't own the purple arrow. No.
All right, no problem. Well, you can take down your hand then. Thanks.
Okay.
No problem.
Deidre.
Deidre, let me hear your explanation.
Able to do it because I'm on my mobile, so it's limited what I can do. But I was looking at time management, managing the process, and guiding discussion. That's what I would have think. And then directing, engagement, and teacher center. Those are the two that I would.
And why would you make a connection between engagement and teacher center?
I think that the teacher, the purpose of the teacher is to engage the pupils. So that's why I would think, engagement and teacher center, because the teacher needs to ensure that the student is fully engaged in whatever is being taught.
Okay, okay. I understand. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you so much, people, for participating in this exercise.
I see that Anne-Marie Toller's hand is up.
Okay.
Anne-Marie Toller, so you could unmute her. I don't know if it's an old hand, but let's see.
Anne-Marie.
Anne-Marie Toller. There are a couple of Anne-Maries on the book.
Yes, I see that. Anne-Marie Toller. Yes. Unmute.
Yeah. Okay, are you hearing me?
Yes.
We're hearing you
Okay,
loud
good.
and clear.
Well, I raised my hand earlier in the session, but I had a chance to do the pedagogy along with the collaboration in terms of getting students to share, work together as a team, and to share the information.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. You see, this is one of the exercises where you would get a lot of different answers, and there's no good or bad answer. It's important that you can use this whiteboard exercise, this connection making exercise, to review your work, to evaluate what you have taught in class. And this is I use this as a review of training of facilitators and trainers. What are the jobs? What are the competencies that we need? But what are the different techniques that you use as a facilitator? But what is the work of a teacher? So we use this to evaluate. There are also other ways we can use this exercise. You can use cards and ask them to make connections between the cards. You can also use pictures. In one exercise, I like to use traffic lights or traffic signs. And those traffic signs, they have to build an analogy on that traffic sign. You can also use parts of a song, music, lyrics you can use that they connect them to each other. So you can use also storylines, bits and pieces of a story that they make these connections. So you can do a lot on the whiteboard just by putting some pictures together and ask the students to be busy. You understand that with more than 200 people online, it's not easy to do that, but with a group of, let's say, 20 students, it's easy to do, and you just give them 5 seconds that they make the connections, because more seconds would give you a lot of things that you would not understand. So thank you guys for participating in this exercise. Great job, great job. Okay, another way to keep your students or your audience engaged is to use web browsing activities. So one of the things we do is we go, if you want to introduce students to a web browsing, you can just take them to a website, an easy website, let them follow whatever you're doing there. And you can also give, if you have WebEx or Zoom, whatever you're using, you can give them control of your screen. Today, we will not do that. We will not give you control. I'm not going on the website to do that. I'm going to put you at work. But before we do that, I want you to know that you have several ways of working with web browsers. Follow the leader. That means I, as a teacher, I do the activity, and you are going on the web and you're doing the same thing. Every time I do something, you follow me. And work on your own is one of them, and the other one is you can send them as an icebreaker. You send them online with their mobile phone and say, go to a site and look for something, you know, even if it doesn't have anything to do with the class, but just to break the ice or energize the group, you can use that. So those are the several ways to use it. So I have a lot of work for you guys to do today. In chat, You might already receive this from Loy. If not, she's going to send it in a few seconds to you. This is a small exercise. Go to the website of CARICAD, look for capacity development, and share at least 2 titles of capacity development programs with us in chat. That is what you find when you search the web. Happy searching.
So you'll notice that the link to the website is in the chat, so you can click on that and access it from there. So you take you away from the WebEx, but it's not kicking you out. I see Sean is out the box, so he mentioned leadership development,
okay,
planning and RBM, right? So
that was very fast.
Very fast.
Yeah.
Kudos, my friend Sean. Shomali
another one
as well. Oh yes.
Yes. What are we looking for? Somebody asked.
So we're looking for 2 titles of capacity development programs, and you type those in the chat.
But you need to go first through the web page and do some searching.
Yeah. But lots of people have managed to navigate and to find some of the capacity building things that we're doing.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing. There are 7, and I see that all of them are mentioned already in chat. Okay, that is great. So this is one way to keep your students engaged. So let me clear all the pointers and then move to the next slide. Application sharing is another way to keep your students or your audience engaged. There are different learning styles that we use there. You can use the direct me, that means you as the teacher, you're directing them, you're sending them in a certain direction. You can also guide them through or during the process. And what they normally like to do is, let me try. So those are most of the students would like to try, especially young people with their mobile phone, they would love to try it. So let me invite you to the first application that we're going to share with you. And I invite you to stand up and take 20 seconds. Okay, did you guys have had a little bit fun? I hope you had some fun doing this.
Yeah, man, I was moving.
Okay, I was moving myself because sitting all the time in a chair, you got a little bit stiff, so I had to move a little bit. Okay, there's also a possibility to share what we call third-party applications. So one of the applications we call Mentimeter. So you have the code there, and what I ask you to do is to go to, oh, they are already busy doing that. Oh gosh, yes, you guys are great. I see that you're doing it already. So the question there that is asked, just answer the question. And maybe it's easier for most of us to use your mobile phone to access the, how do you call it, access the website. It's easier to use. And then I will show you what happens when you got a word cloud out of it. So people, be busy, take your time. I will put a timer because I need to, this must finish between 20 seconds and 1 minute.
Right.
Okay.
So you go to www.menti.com, that's in the chat. So I'm going to share the results by Mike sharing his desktop momentarily.
Well, I think I'm going to let them see it now because this is very interesting.
Yeah.
To have them see how it moves.
And Bridget is also sharing that Kahoot is another example of a good application to use. Yes, indeed. So, thanks for that, Bridget. All right.
This is what happens. We have almost 30 seconds left for this one. So young people, they love to use their smartphones. If you gamify your presentation, you will keep them engaged for sure. So this is one way of doing it. So you see that every time somebody answers and put an answer, it will come like this. So unfortunately, I had to close the voting, and this is the result of what we have. The biggest concern of most people has always been engagement. And then we see fear for technology, keeping students engaged, security, privacy concerns. You see the letters that are the biggest, those are the things that most people put into their answers. So this is another way of sharing this is a third-party application you can share to get your audience engaged. Thank you guys so much for sharing your thoughts and participating in this event. Then I want to briefly go through the breakout rooms. A lot of you already mentioned the breakout rooms. As a facilitator or a trainer, it's important that you know when it's time for you to take a break, to refocus. Now, the breakout room is one of the things for you to refocus, but also for the students. What you want to do, you want to use different forms, working forms for your students to let them interact with each other and collaborate with each other. And that will boost your engagement and your results in your classroom. So Loy will share some information with you, but we're not going into the breakout room. So what I would normally do, I would say we allow you guys now to experience what it is in a breakout room if we were doing a workshop. But now we're doing a webinar, so we cannot afford it in terms of time to go into a breakout room. But it is very important to have clear and concise instructions when you send people to the breakout room. And we'll share those instructions with you that we would like to use. And upon return to the main room, it's always important that they share their work. So there's a certain kind of organization that they will have in the breakout room. So that is one of the ways to keep your audience engaged. Now, if you're going to facilitate online, it's important for you to make sure that you create a certain kind of audience engagement by using different tools. We're going to look also at using yourself as the main source to facilitate. So you have to be the broadcaster. and we'll also take a look at the 10-minute rule. So storytelling is using fact and narrative to communicate something to your audience. You can make up your own story. You can make up your own analogy, but you can also use anecdotes. You can also use stories that already exist. So anything, but don't take a story that you tell for 5 minutes. You will let the people fall asleep, guys. Don't do that, please. Okay? So using your voice. Your voice is very important in virtual class. You need to vary your intonation. You can use some humor. Keep your energy up. It's very important to keep your energy up. Use different voices. Different voices means simply do not do all of the talking. Because if you do all of the talking, you will let them fall asleep as well. So you need to keep them engaged. So use other voices, like we've been doing all the time. I ask people to respond on questions. I ask people to ask questions. So that is the way you make sure that other people use their voices. Low tech, high touch. I'm wondering who can help me with that. Lloyd, maybe you can explain that to us. What means low tech and high touch?
That is, you have like the things that the Mentimeter and so on is an example of, high tech. But, sometimes, and you're going to find that not necessarily all of your participants who are, coming into the virtual learning experience are as comfortable with the high tech. So you want to keep things simple, low tech, but you have a high touch, a lot of engagement. So you as a facilitator, you are engaging them in terms of, asking and sharing experiences, getting their feedback, just using our voice. I'm using my voice as a facilitator, and I'm inviting them to use their voice as well. So we're engaging in that way. So you're not physically touching, but it is more intimate, as it were.
Wow. Wow. I think I would not be able to do it like that. That is a great explanation, Lloyd. Thank you so much. Now, one of the things that you need to do is plan for technology gaps. You need to have a mishap management plan ready. That means that when there's a problem online, you need to stay calm. Identify the problem. Either it's an individual or a team problem, you need to work on that one. Use your producer, the people that help you with your webinar or with your training. Let them help you to fix the problem. Focus on the solution rather than on the problem. And then you determine the next step so students know what they are about to do. Choosing the right delivery format for your audience is so crucial to interaction. Make sure you know your audience. Use what always works. Have a different set of working forms and have enough backups when one doesn't work. Because sometimes you think this is the best one for this audience, and then you find out that, you're wrong. Enjoy yourself. I think that is one of the biggest things or the best competence that you need to have as a facilitator, as a virtual trainer. You need to enjoy yourself. People will hear you, but if you're able to let them feel you, feel your energy, and recognize that you're having fun, you are on your way to become a very good virtual trainer or facilitator. If there are any questions for this moment, I want to ask you to park them, write them down, but if it's a really pressing one, please raise your hand and jump in. We would love to take your answers at the end of the session, but really if it's pressing for this moment, I will take 30 seconds. I'm willing to take 30 seconds to answer it. I don't think there's a pressing one. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
So we're probably going to try in the next 5 minutes to get to the discussion period.
What did you say, Lloyd?
I said we'd probably, in the next 5 minutes, to get to the question and answer period.
Oh, yes, about
and then somebody is saying they have their hand up. I'm hearing somebody. I'm not sure.
Yes, that was me, Erica.
Erica, yes, Erica, go ahead.
Right. It's with respect to the, engaging introverts.
Okay.
What is the best way to keep them engaged? Because and this is not a criticism, but one of the methodologies that you used was to call on persons.
Yes.
And for an introvert, that is like one of the worst things.
Yeah. No, it's actually me.
This is a very good one. It's a very good question, and I will try to answer it as easy, as clearly as possible. If you know your audience, only when you know your audience you can deal with the introverts. What I normally do with introverts, I send them a message and say, I would love you to say something about such a thing. So start thinking about it. And when it's time and I call him by name, he is already prepared or she is already prepared. That is one of the ways you should do that. And it always works for me. So try to do that because you need to keep those people as well engaged, but they need to be prepared. When you just call them out like that, they freeze and they don't speak out. So you need to warn them in advance, and you also tell them on what topic you will be asking them a question, and that will normally work for them. But the best way to have introverts get engaged is to put them in a breakout room. And there is the moment where they feel safe. That's where they feel safe. So those are the two techniques that I use to keep introverts engaged. Thank you so much.
That's a very good question. And I've had a number of persons who've been our participants who are introverts. They say, you know, they actually sometimes find it easier to interact and to speak up in a virtual session as opposed to face-to-face.
Yep.
You know, so that's another thing too. Don't assume. So a lot of introverts have told me they feel far more comfortable participating in a virtual space. It's a face-to-face that really gets them, you know, a little nervous.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lloyd. I see Erica said something. You're most welcome, Erica. You're very welcome. So let's look at the work of a broadcaster and the work of the facilitator. We're doing almost the same thing. You need to be a broadcaster. There are similarities, but there are also some small differences. Please take 30 seconds to share with us. I see that they're coming. Okay. No. It's still about the introverts. Thank you so much. Okay, great. So share with us in chat some differences, but most likely the similarities between the broadcaster and the virtual facilitator. Share in chat, please. Okay, the broadcaster does one-way communication. They are giving information, and I see they both share, pass on information. That's great. Encourages feedback, that's what we do. Okay, great, great. Thank you so much. I see you people are very, very busy in chat. Thank you so much for now, because we don't want to let you give all the answers now, and when we are at the Q&A, we don't have questions anymore left. Okay, that is so nice. Well, what I could say is the biggest difference between those two is you as a facilitator, you control your crowd, you control the people that are in your session. And if you want, you can see them as well by using your video if you want to see them. But you can also look at your participants bar and you see all of them. That is so clear. Thank you so much. Now, we have a few more slides to share with you, and one of them is managing questions. Questions could be related to program content, activity instructions, or technology, or with regards to the program logistics. Asking questions is one of the best competencies of a virtual trainer, of any trainer. And what we encourage you to do is ask open-ended questions, questions that start with what, how, in what way. Those are the questions. Who and how. Those are the questions that we like to use. And in the virtual classroom, we have different ways of asking questions. I think you all have done this already. You raise your hand, you chat publicly or privately. Q&A we will have also, or we have it all the time, or just jump in or don't ask at all. So, 4 ways to answer your questions when you have a virtual class. Answer question fully, answer partially, and then redirect to class. Immediately redirect to class, redirect back to questionnaire for clarification. I need a volunteer to help me with the first question. Read out the question and then tell me which one of the methods you would use to answer. Can I have a volunteer?
I can try.
Okay, you are?
Erica.
Erica. Oh, God. Okay, great. Okay, Erica, go ahead.
All right. The question is, I don't believe in the power of the majority. Sometimes they are wrong, right? The first thing that I would do would be number 4, which would be to seek clarification on what they mean by the power of the majority. Just to ensure that we're on the same page. Wow,
that's great. I love this. And once more, there is no right or wrong answer. It depends on the situation or the circumstance that, and also the way the person asked the question. You as a facilitator need to respond to that question, but you have 4 options. Thank you very much, Erica. The next one is for Barry. Barry Hatley. Let me hear your voice, bro. Barry, help me with this one.
I'm wondering if you have to unmute Barry.
Yes, yes. Barry, you're unmuted.
No, it's not. It's still muted. Barry Headley? Yeah, there you go.
Barry is unmuted.
Okay. So the question is, at what point do I escalate an angry parent to my school principal? So I think at this time I would need to go with 4, redirect back to questioner for clarification, because first I'm trying to understand what do they mean by angry parent, like what did the parent do? Why do they think the parent is angry? So that would be my first, because I would need to understand whether we're on the same page when they're talking about what is angry and what do they mean by escalate.
Okay. Thank you so much. What would be your second choice, Barry?
My second choice would probably be 2, answer partially and then redirect to class.
Yes.
Sorry, to give an idea of what I am thinking, but then maybe ask, well, so what do you think? Do you think this is the right approach to take? Something like that, where I get the engagement of of the participants to get their views.
Exactly. That is important when answering questions. You still want to use that question and the answer to create a certain level of engagement. Great. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. And then we have.
Sorry, let's just remute Barry.
See?
Yeah, he's
yes?
muted.
Muted already. Thank you so much, Lloyd. Okay, the 10-minute rule. Now, Mr. Medina, the scientist, he created this 10-minute rule. In his opinion, a teacher must win the battle for the student's attention every 10 minutes. And let me tell you guys, in a virtual class, that battle is not 10 minutes. That battle is around 3 to 5 minutes. So you need, the bottom line is here that you need to keep your students, your audience engaged. Every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes, they need to do something. And that something is called a hook. A hook is an activity that is used to let them refocus. What I used today as a hook was the video. I used the video, the soccer video, to refocus on what we're doing, to give you the opportunity. But the whole session long, I've been using hooks just to make sure that you guys don't fall asleep. So that's the reason why this webinar is we want to keep it very interactive and make sure you don't start snoring for me here. So any suggestions on what other things you can use to refocus? We will share. Yes, I see there icebreakers, mindfulness activities. We will share some additional information with you. One of the things that we share with you is take a minute. So that is one of the resources that has 5 ways how to make sure that your students are being engaged or refocused. Exercise. I like 10 minutes too often. Okay. Great, great. Thank you so much for sharing in chat with us. So this is the last part of our session of today. And what is happening here, before you go into facilitating, there's a 4 steps model that ATD uses to make sure that you do the right thing. You need to identify your instructional goals and performance objectives. What is in the program for your program sponsor, and what is it for the learners? What's in the program for the learners? That's very important. And secondly, you need to determine the potential assessment needs. If you aren't assessing if learning is taking place for every learner, that's not training. It's not a training. It's only a webinar. And you see, in the webinar, we're trying to see as well if there's learning happening. And that is one of the things that we will see just now. Determine if collaboration would improve learning outcomes. Why bring people together at the same time if they aren't working together? So ask yourself that question. So you need to make sure that people are constantly working together. And determine if your virtual class is an authentic training environment for each objective. Are learners going to use new skills at their desk? Then go with virtual for this objective. Is it a face-to-face skill? Then consider a blended program. So these are the things that you need to consider before going into a virtual class. And then we have one more slide here, and that is about the conversion from face-to-face to virtual. I saw that people, somebody asked that question in the very beginning of this webinar. And yes, the conversion brings a lot of stress with it. The conversion stress is the first thing that we get, and we have it like in content conversion. It has to do with the content. Which content do I use? I have to redirect you to the first, the previous slide. That is where it's important to make sure that the same content you're doing, you cannot do it the same way you're doing it in a virtual class or in a face-to-face class. Technology stress, I think we touched that already. It has to do with all the tools and internet and all of the things, people that are not literate in computer. So those people, those stress things will come. And the biggest stress will be for the learner and the instructor, because it is about the engagement stress. And this is what we've been trying to tackle the whole morning with you guys. So I want to quickly wrap up this session of today with you before I send you to, or before we go to the Q&A part of our session. What have we captured today? We did e-learning and 3 main types of e-learning. We use some platform tools. We use interactive, creative ways to engage with each other or to collaborate and to interact with each other. We also touch base on how to use yourself as a medium to facilitate a webinar or whatever you're doing. We also touch base on the 10 minutes rule, and we encourage you to use the 5 minutes rule, because in a virtual session, you need to be constantly refocusing the people every 5 minutes. And our main topic of today was about engagement. So we would like you to answer the next question in chat before we finish. And the next question has to do with engagement. What is the best way?
So Mike, people are saying the code is not working. It is not open for voting.
The same, what do they say?
People are saying the question is not open for voting.
Okay, but it's now open for voting.
So the question, what you're really asking is basically one word took away from today's session.
Yes.
So it's available now.
It's available now. If it's okay, people should see it now. Are they getting through? I think I see movement, so it's
yes,
they are getting through.
No, they're saying.
Okay, great. Yes, I had to start it because I had to get out from, you know, the slide to the web page.
So Mike, we have 2 minutes to 2 minutes to the end of the webinar.
Yes, we are already at the end. Thank you. Okay, let me share my screen with them. I'm counting down. Let's give them a few seconds. We have 30 seconds left. I will share the results with you in a few seconds. As soon as the voting is closed, I will share the result with you so you can see how the people have responded to this question. So this is the result. What is the best way to get participants engaged? And 89% of the people say through interaction and collaboration, and that is the right answer. There's all the answers are good, or two of the answers is good, but the best way to do it is through interaction and to collaboration. So let me give you guys a round of applause because this is a very, very good answer that you've given here. And this is one of the ways that you can keep your audience engaged using the third-party applications. So let me get back to
Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you so much. I've certainly learned a lot. And I'm going to invite Raphael, if you could pass the ball back to me. No, folks, I do believe though based, so Barry is asking, is the Mentimeter application a paid service? Mike?
Yes, there is a paid version, but it's free.
Okay.
It's free. I'm using a free version, but you can have a maximum of 3 slides in a free version. But it's workable.
All right. So guys, we really are out of time. I do know a number of the questions that you have posed have been answered throughout the presentation. And if there are other questions that you have that you want us to follow up on, we would invite you to just email us at info@caricad.net, and we'll be happy to follow up with you, put you in touch with Mike if you want to, liaise with Mike directly. But Mike, as usual, we want to thank you so very much. And before we ask you to just do our evaluation poll, we just want to share with you the announcements. And while I do those announcements, I ask Raphael to launch a poll. The ball is over to you, Raphael. So our next webinar is, of course, next month. And you know that next month is the start, unfortunately, of our hurricane season here in the Caribbean. And so we want to note that, but we want to not look at it in a negative way, but we want to focus on how we are innovating in order to manage our risks. And so the topic next webinar, which will be June 15, 2021, will be Innovation in Disaster Risk Management. We're going to be featuring one of our alumni, Mark Codlin. He is the hazard mitigation specialist with the government of the Cayman Islands. They have been doing some very interesting innovations in terms of things like the use of mobile applications, etc., in order to integrate those into their disaster risk management framework. So you want to hear more about that. A lot of you have been talking about our leadership programs. So our call for applications are currently open for our mid-level leadership development program. You can go to our website, or you want more information, email us at info@caricad.net. And do continue to follow us on our social media pages, that's on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, or go to our website at caricad.net for just general information about what we're offering, or blogs, or newsletters, or webinars, or other programs and technical assistance services. CARICAD offers a number of technical assistance services around organizational development, human resource management and development, strategic planning, public finance, and other areas as well. So there's a range of support services that we provide to you, various organizations and member states that we serve. So on behalf of all of us here at CARICAD, I want to thank you once again for logging in. And as soon as you are finished doing the poll, you can exit the session. And do look out for other webinar invitations. And remember, they're always free. Share them around. Thank you all so much. It has been a blast having you. All the best.
Lloyd?
Yes, go ahead, Mike.